good. Alright, hopefully the internet keeps going. Been having some issues lately. I believe it's from the towers being overloaded. I believe, but I don't know. So this one's going to be a bit of a challenge for me. Because I gotta make the hair, and it's a very specific color. I'm not sure how to go about it. It's kind of a platinum blonde, but how do I get it looking like that without it being like pale? Well, I think I'll start with this guy again. When I got this color, I was not expecting to use it as much as I did. I have, but yeah, it's one that just keeps popping up. Which is kind of neat, just seeing how things go. Okay, and oh, thank you. Welcome, Richard. Currently the face is a little off. I ran out of paint when I was doing that. But other than that, it's doing alright so far. A few other spots I gotta touch up. But I'm still learning, I'm still figuring it out. Currently we're doing the hair bit now. Trying to figure out how exactly to go about it. I could try just like the tiniest bit of brown. I think I might try that, see where that goes. Let's go with the other brown, the other ones. I think that might work out a bit better. But yeah, I've been learning to paint. Here's some of the other ones I've got down here. Been trying it out. Kind of going seat of my pants here, so. That's yeah. But it's, I don't know. Yes and no. It works out if you can just like follow it along. Some of the shading, like this part here, I was having a bit of trouble with, but I think I just need to paint over that a little bit, and it should work out okay. Still got the gloves; they still got some more detail in there to work out, and then all the metal bits on the clothing. That way, or the other way. But yeah, it's kind of fun. One of the things I've done for this piece is instead of working out trying to get it all perfect, it's these ones, last few have been an experiment in trying to just be okay with it being inaccurate, which has oddly allowed me to do better. I can't quite explain it fully, but the knowledge of not having to be perfect in things has allowed me to be more accurate, or rather willing to take a few more risks and try some things that I wouldn't have otherwise. Most of them have worked out. I think that's a decent color. I still need to get a bigger palette. One of these days I'll get one or work it out. Ooh, need a bit more in there. But yeah, I'm working along, trying things. Seeing where we get to. I want the stick my thumb in paint. Of course I do. Of course I do. Let's go give it a shot. Okay, so up here is very, very fair hair. I think this is... close enough. We can fix it later. Alright, so from here on, let's try and paint all the... This will actually probably be a really hard one to see on camera. Very pale hair on a white canvas. I'm still working on getting that one going. Thank you. But actually, I think the contours are actually what help. The curves and such. If it was just a flat, straight image, I would probably have a bit more trouble with it, trying to keep a straight line. But because it's curved, I can work around it and kind of hide some of it a bit. One of the other aspects is I have used a grid pattern. I've got the reference here, and I transferred it via grid. I'm not quite good enough yet to do it without one, but I'm working at it, and it's a learning experience for all of it. Okay, so I still have a lot of little kind of squiggles in the hair that are just suggestions of where it's supposed to be. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I'd like to a bit further back. Natural result. Alright. But one of the things is I'm trying for precision too, so let's try that. I guess we'll work on this one. I've never really thought about holding it different. Huh. Don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Feels a little weird doing it from like so far away though. But it's not bad. I don't know. I'll give it a shot and see where it goes. Okay, that one. Oh, get a little bit lower for that. Yeah, I'm gonna need a hell of a lot more paint for this. A lot more than I originally put down. It's gonna be fun. Even more accurate bit of practice. Alright. Yeah, it feels a little odd at first, but I imagine I could get some pretty, Where the hell? What? I missed a bit. I, forgot to put in some bits there. Alright. So this... I'm not quite sure how this is going to work out. Alright. Because her hair goes all over on this one. This is going to be a tough one to get just right. I guess I naturally have a tendency to want up close and high precision on it. Oh, cool. I do imagine that this would be a lot more effective as well on a bigger canvas. So instead of having a tiny little brush one like this, a big old sweep like that might work out better. I could see it working a lot better there. And mine is just a small little canvas here. But yeah, I'll give it a shot, see how it goes. Alright, so I do have this bit here, but this one needs to come out a lot more. Okay. You know what? I need a lot more paint. A lot more paint. Let's give it a shot and just... And I have run out of this color. What's really amazing for me is how fast paint goes. how fast it dries and such. Like, look, I am out of the paint I mixed up, so now I'm gonna make more. Okay, so it's mostly white. Let's just go the whole blob there. If I need more paint, I can make it. But yeah, it's kind of fascinating. I've done all sorts of different arts and crafts, try to figure out which one works for me, which one doesn't. And paint is kind of an unexpected one for me, honestly. I started up painting for those two pieces there. Realistically, anyway. I did a Bob Ross painting tutorial once. It came out okay. Colors roll off because I was like trying to blaze through it and I couldn't quite keep up with him. Bob Ross paints really, really fast. Really fast. I was having a lot of trouble keeping up with him. And halfway, 3/4 of the way through, my power went out. And so I couldn't find that video I was working on. So I had to kind of make up the last portion of it, which was an interesting little endeavor. Happy little accidents and all. Oh, really? Well, cool, cool. Like a career painting, like an actual canvas painting artist, or what kind of painting? Because I know there's a hell of a lot of types. My grandpa was also a painter. He learned to do a lot of artwork and stuff on his own. He originally learned with Bob Ross, then just kind of progressed on his own. He was also worked at a newspaper company and was the color stripper. The guys who strip red, yellow, and blue into different colors and such. And so he knew a lot about the color theory and such, which was fascinating to learn about. And that'll have to wait till next time. But yeah, it was he's had an interesting take on it, and to be honest, I never quite liked his paintings. Were okay, they were good, but they weren't quite the subject matter that I've always been interested in. For me, it's been characters and fantasy and such, and it's interesting trying to find it again. I don't know quite where I'm going with this, but yeah, I've always had this taste for fantasy portraits and characters and like people. Though I've always sucked at faces. I'll give it a shot on this one, but faces are always where I have the most trouble. Even if they're like okay, they're still very off. But I can do the body really good. It's frustrating. 90% right, and then a face. Yeah. It's infuriating. I think I just need more practice and whatnot, but still, it's. Anyway, yeah, my grandfather, he did a lot of landscapes, and still life type things. One of the ones he talks about every so often is a joke one he did a while back, where he called it pound cake, and it was a cake and a hammer standing up in the process of pounding it. It was just a really silly joke one. But yeah. Really? Alright, cool. I'll keep an eye out for you then. Give me one moment though. I'll be sure to try and check out you later. Anyway, take care, man. I'll be here trying to figure out how hair and paint work. But thank you. I will try and incorporate the tips a bit more. See if that does help out some. It's always neat experimenting and taking the advice of others. You never know where it'll take you. And sometimes just a simple thing like holding the paintbrush could probably be a big thing. All right. But yeah, it's been fun, man. Take care, wherever it is you happen to go off into. But yeah, I'll be here. Just it's very odd. And I'm torn between getting rid of the lines I put in place to tell myself where everything is, or keeping them there. And you know what? Let's go the route of going over them. They are faint enough in the background I can kind of follow along. Maybe. And it just dries. Dries in an instant. Stop doing that. Do very much so would like to have a actual camera that can showcase the piece, but everything is sold out. It's crazy. Well, that's mainly because everyone now needs a paint is gone. Mainly because everybody's at home and they have to use the webcams to go to school and all that. It's actually causing a lot of people trouble having to do that, especially in my area right now specifically. It just because my area we currently have a fire going, not like right here but nearby, and recently it cut through a internet line. It burned through it. And it caused most people to be out of internet. One of the main providers, the fiber optic cable, got cut, got sheared, burned, melted, whatever the hell it was. It wasn't working anymore. But kids are starting school and going through this online courses thing, but they couldn't because all the internet is down. It just went to school normally, it wouldn't have this problem. And the other one being, a lot of families in this area don't actually have good enough internet to do any video streaming, conference, what have you. They have like dial-up or none at all even, because it's a very rural area and it's hard to get internet to all these places. And schools and people just think, oh yeah, everybody has internet. No, not really. Not really at all. A lot of people are actually, hell, some people don't even have power in their places. No electrical ability, and it's quite normal in this area actually. Not overly common, but not unexpected. Oh, okay, cool, kind of thing. Yeah, and it's because they're too far away, out in the sticks, out in the mountains, the forest, too far away from realistically being on the grid. Some people who purposely choose to be off of the grid, that type of thing. And now they have to go back into it because the schools and all that are making them take part in it. It's a weird situation. And try to hold it back. So I keep noticing I get like really, really close and one of the weird things I'm running into is like paint is very odd. It works and it does, but at the same time you have to keep track of a lot of other things as well, like it gooping up. It sits there and like if you do it too much, it just has a big old glob there, and then it looks out of place. If you did that, for instance, in digital landscape, that glop is just a flat spot. It's no bigger or different than any other spot you would color up. And so that's where the paint stroke comes into play, which is kind of fascinating. It's, damn it, a whole other aspect of it. Okay, so I'm gonna, damn it, try and just get this nice base layer around. I know it's not the proper color at all for some of these. Like this spot down here, this needs to be a very, very dark shaded area here. I'm coloring it the same as everything else. I'm gonna try, and like same for like right here. This spot is gonna be very shaded, or should be. I'm gonna try my hand at getting this layer and then adding the shading after it. See how well it will go after that. Okay. Because I am willing to experiment, try different things, try it out. And I guess this is my miniature experience coming back into it again as well. Base color and then add the shadows and highlights as you go. But that tends to work. That tends to be a way of getting it all there. Yep. And you have, and the other aspect is it gets nice even colors. It's no longer just a blank white canvas or thereabouts. It gives you a bit more, a little bit of substance to work off of. I think that does actually help me a bit, because blank paper, blank canvas, blank whatever is actually somewhat difficult for me to work with. Because, and I guess that actually is my issue. I have trouble working with nothing, because I need it to be a little bit more. I have always found that I do better work, or I'm able to take advantage of it more when it's something's already there. Like examples like a coloring book. You can just like pick it up and take off and just start coloring, and you'll be a lot more creative than if you just had, well, for me anyway, I'd be a lot more creative in a coloring book. Okay, I tried this, now this part goes over here, and this looks like this will be an interesting little color spot. I have done the occasional adult coloring book thing, which is kind of fascinating. That's actually a thing that's starting to become popular as well. Just these little coloring books that just kind of seemingly arbitrary shapes and colors, well, shapes and lines rather, and then the people are the ones who put the colors in. Time to clean off the brush. But yeah, and I think I even have some like around here somewhere. I've got a calendar that has some on occasion. And nope, these are not the ones I was thinking of. Oh well. But yeah, it's neat. Yeah, the coloring book and whatnot. It's like you no longer have to focus on the layout or the composition or what it's going to be or the subject or any of that. You can just kind of let go and let the artwork kind of take you where it wants to go, where it should be, which is kind of fascinating. And I guess kind of actually does fall in line with how I do things. Because I have the, when I make characters in Warcraft or Dungeons and Dragons or what have you, I kind of have a blank palette, blank slate I work with, and then see where the character goes. I kind of have a generic bit to it, but then as it goes on, I like incorporate what happens into the character, or this character tends to be like this because that's what happened, and it's built off of what it's turned into. Alright, give me a second here. This is some semi-accurate painting here. But yeah, because my favorite example to explain this one is I had this Tauren Shaman. And I just kind of made her as like a secondary character. I wanted to try out the Shaman. Restoration, a Shaman Healer. Give that a shot. So I had this character now, just kind of like a little sideline one for me. And joined dungeons, do all the stuff. And I got a random drop. One of those world drops, like random rare items from like a pig or something like that. And it was this green hat. It was this little witch's hat, you know, like the wide brim and the little pointy bit on top. That's what I got. That was the piece of equipment that dropped off the character. And it's like, oh, that's neat. And in Warcraft, especially at the lower levels, hats are extremely rare. You don't really get them until much later on. And so I had that hat for like many levels because it was one that worked for me. It had stats that worked. And then as I was going along in the game, I started doing some other dungeon runs and such, and I happened across another hat. This one was the Scarlet Monastery one, that stupid healer's chapeau or something, little red boxy looking hat, and I got that one as well. And so all these things started coming together, and like this character now has a thing for hats. She likes collecting them, and I had at the bank, and all my old hats I stored off into the side, and I had them based off how many levels I had, and it was fascinating. That is not an aspect I would have built into that character from the start. That's not a thing that, okay, this character definitely has, she likes collecting hats. I never would have thought that. Hey, Zeros, welcome. But yeah, hats can be. I've got one up there, pimp hat. But it's I really do like that story because it just shows how the natural evolution of a thing. Yeah, and how like story building can happen that way. It's fascinating. Though ironically, well, I've honestly been meaning to do that for a while. I just haven't been able to do it. The manual way I've been doing VIPs before is I have to manually type in the name and get the proper one, which has always been an absolute pain for trying to do it off stream, because I can't look into the follower tab and see where you guys are. It's like chronological, and so I'd have to like scroll all the way down to the bottom to find you, because you were one of the early ones, and Twitch doesn't like loading that stuff. And it's really inefficient doing it that way. But I managed, and whenever I want to try and do it like on stream, I can't like right click make VIP. The only thing I can do is right click and ban, which is odd. I can't do a simple VIP upgrade. You know, so whenever I like had the yeah, you can't right click make VIP. I have to go /VIP and then spell it properly. But whenever I think of it, it's always like after stream. It's like, how did he spell his name? And I'd have to look through the follower list and try and find you, or try and spell it right and guess which one is the proper one, which doesn't work out. It's really cumbersome. I don't like having to do it that way. But yeah, man, you've been a VIP for a long time. I just haven't actually hit the button yet. Yeah. Yeah, I had that issue with another guy. I think it was Zekuto. I think it was Zekuto where I had the biggest issue, because I think he might use a special character, like it's not an E, it's like a Russian E or something odd like that. Looks exactly the same, but that's not the actual key it is, so I couldn't ever find him. I eventually did, but that was after scrolling all the way down through the followers page, which I don't know why you can't just like make search followers, make VIP. It's weird. Twitch is very odd how it handles a lot of things. But yeah, man, you are a VIP, most definitely. If you want, I can make you a mod. Completely voluntary and more of a if you want to do it type thing. My timing was a bit off. What would be nice, so specifically? The Twitch stuff, or you being a mod? Alright. I think I got the hair filled in. Flat color. Let's try do it next. Now you can get the VIP restrooms. Totally. That's all on you though, man. At the VIP bar. I'm not I don't have enough I'm not rich enough for a bar, man. What the hell am I doing? Just make a new spot, dumbass. But yeah. I think one of the things with VIP is you get the emotes, or is that subscriber only? I can't remember, but at least you get VIP something or other. I honestly don't quite know what it entirely grants you. And I am limited like 10-15 slots on VIP or something like that. Something like that. Apparently I get more by having people talk. I think I need like 200 people talking at the same time to get more VIP slots or something. Yeah, I don't know. If you want me to like see if I can mess with settings and give you more access to shit, let me know. Because yeah, I don't know what it's like being on the receiving end of the VIP thing. Okay, that's the hair. So I think what I want to try and work on is the dark and the shaded aspects. That'd be probably you and some brown. Let's work on that one. Alright, cool. But even still, just let me know. I'll see what I can do. Yeah, one of the biggest reasons I like don't have things or don't do things is because I don't know I can't. Oh, that's how it works. Okay, there we go. But yeah. I'm gonna make it white. Because I gotta mix that to get the proper tone. Okay. You and it is the dark brown, but not quite as much. this is annoying. I take the cap off, and the paint is here, but it has a little cap inside of the cap that falls off sometimes. I don't think it's supposed to do that, but it does. Don't know how to fix that other than just stick it back in the lid and hope it sticks there this time. I could like super glue it in there, but I don't know if I'm supposed to, so I just leave it. I don't know I can. Yeah. Yes. Oh, speaking of work, I had an somewhat a bit of a success story for me personally. It's not really all that big of a deal, but it kind of is to me. I had a phone repair, and give me a sec. I want to try and paint is weird. It dries too fast. But guy came in, and story for multiple reasons. Apparently, I worked a miracle on his phone before. It says it works perfectly, which is pretty cool. And he brought his phone to, I think it was the other AT&T store, and asked if they could help him out. And they pointed him to me. And they said if anyone can fix it, Radio Shack probably can. Which is a hell of a compliment, but at the same time, I'm leaving, so that compliment actually really hurt me. But anyway, this guy comes in with his phone. It's a Samsung Galaxy S5, and he says it's not charging. He brought it to another place, and they thought it was just the battery, so they swapped it out, and that wasn't the issue. And so he brought it to them, and then eventually brought it to me to try and get it going. And he's like, please, can you? Well, I'll see what I can do. I'll try. But the thing about the Samsungs, okay, I gotta visualize this for you. Here, I'll use this. Okay, think of this as the phone. Okay, most phones you can flip it over, pull off the back, or some of the simpler ones just like crack open the back, and there's the battery there, and you can slip it out. It was that kind of style. But then to get into the charge port, which is like right here, you have to flip it over, take the screen off without breaking it. Okay, undo a set of screws, flip it back over, take out the back portion here, and then get to the charge port. But the charge port is underneath the motherboard. The motherboard sits like this, and then the charge port plugs into this, and then they both sit on top of the frame. So you gotta pick it up, unplug it like this, pull it out. But the charge port also has little prongs that go like this underneath the screen. So you gotta pull up the screen, pull up the charge port, flip it over, pull it out. It's just an absolute pain in the ass. And if you break the screen, you gotta fix the screen too. And that's the standard way of doing it for those models, which is absolutely asinine. For reference, an iPhone, two screws, take them out, flip open the screen, a couple screws, you can just take the screen out, and no problem there. And for the charge port, it's not as complex, but you just have to take all the parts out, put it in, and then put it all back in as normal. It's all screws. None of this adhesive bullshit. But anyway, the thing that makes this a story for me is I managed to do it. It's designed purposely. They do it that way so that it's harder to repair. It's harder to repair, you buy a new phone, right? Or so the logic goes. It's designed that way. But anyway, I managed to do it. I managed to successfully take the screen off without cracking it, which I can't tell you how relieved I was when that happened. I had to sit there and like baby it the entire time and just do nothing but focus on not breaking it. And finally it's like, did I get it? I fucking got it. I got it. But the worst part is, even at that point when you pull it off, you might have cracked a small little bit at the end. Like, it looks fine, but there's a little micro fracture back there somewhere in the glass, and you screwed it up somewhere. Luckily, that was not the case. Like, the screen will turn on, but you can't touch it because you broke the digitizer. It was just... God. Anyway, it worked out. But, as luck would have it, I still did manage to break the home button. Big old button that gets you on the home. In trying to not break the glass, I managed to shear the cable on the home button. Luckily enough, we had to spare one of those, which is why you always carry spares for phone repairs. But it was a black button and he had a white phone. And I told him, well, I had to do the charge port and the home button. It's okay, that's okay. It works. But still, it's like you work so hard trying not to break something and you break something else. It's maddening. Madness, I tell you. But yeah, let's go with a little brush. I think it's you. No, it's not you. Which of you is it? It's you. But yeah, it's just being able to like successfully say, yes, I did it. And the worst part is, this guy was actually really good. It worked out all fine and everything. Came out all right at the end. But the worst one is when it's yeah. I work very hard at doing that and keeping things together again. But the thing is, like, the phone repair is, most of the time it's really easy. You just pop it out, put it back together, and it's not all that hard. The problem and the trouble comes in when it doesn't go right. You now have to do like shit. I gotta try and salvage this from that one, see if this works, and like doing most of the repairs takes, don't tell nobody, but like 20-30 minutes. Heat up the phone, break down the adhesive, pop it out, take the screen apart, put in the piece, put it all back together. 20 minutes done. If something goes wrong, that 20 minutes now takes a couple hours. And it's like there's no middle ground. It just, if it works, it goes along pretty easily. If it doesn't, you're now screwed. And you gotta scramble to fix it. And it's so weird how like that it is. I don't know. But yeah, that's where the trouble with my job comes in, because most anybody could probably take it apart and put it back together, at least in general terms, but not everyone knows how to fix it once it gets screwed up. Because some of the stuff I've had to do is I don't have any spares. This guy's coming to pick it up in an hour. Shit. What the hell do I do? Well, I do have this older model that might fit. Hey, look, the older model, it's not an exact fit, but it should work. And it's an internal piece, so I don't think he'll notice. Ta-da! Your phone is fixed. And then, one of the things that does happen sometimes is, if people come back, hey, my phone's not working. Oh, here's a story about one. This lady brought in her phone, wanted it, she, like it fell out of the car going 60 miles an hour or something. And so it shattered the screen and broke the back panel. And she was wondering if we could fix it. Yeah, we can fix that. And so we did, and we put it all back together and gave it to her. But we had to do it piecemeal because we ordered up the screen, but the back piece was separate. And so we fixed the screen for her, gave it back to her. She's going to bring it back in. We put in the back piece, give it back to her, right? Well, she comes in for the back piece. There was a problem. It doesn't seem like the microphone is working. Or, no, it's not the microphone. I can't hear anyone's calls. I'm going, oh, really? Shit, really? Let me take a look at that. I can't order more spares. Do you realize how many types of phones there are? How many different configurations there are for every single component? I can't order tons of spares. Mostly for the Androids. For the iPhones, those are easy enough to have some spares for some of the main things, like a camera or a charge port, things like that. But Androids, no, that will never happen. You will never have enough spares for Androids. Well, yeah, turns out, I told her, maybe just the wire is a little loose. It didn't like sit quite right. I'll take a look when I pull it apart. And pull it back, and it's like, I get it back there. Please don't be something horrible. Please don't break something. I get it apart. I forgot to put the loudspeaker back in. The little part that talks to you in your ear. That was missing. Shit. And this was a couple of days ago. So it's like, where the hell did that piece go? And so I tore that room apart, trying to figure out where the hell that piece could have gone. Was it here? Was it there? Did we do anything with it? Did I throw it out? Did it fall in the garbage? Shit. And so I'm panicking because I'm trying to look. Maybe there's some other ones that might have similar. Do I have any of the other ones? I don't have a phone like that. Shit. And then I look under my desk, and back there in the corner there it is. It fell on the floor and rolled off into the corner. Picked it up. Hallelujah. Put it back in. It works. I was never so happy to just have a little piece like that and just be sitting there on the floor. Because if I didn't have that, I'd have to explain to her, oh, that piece seems to have broken in the installation. It'll be a few days for me to order a part, and I'll get it to you. And yeah, a lot of people don't realize how much by the seat of my pants I'm doing this job, but they keep singing my praises, and it's like, yeah, you're wonderful, cool. No trouble at all, sir. No trouble at all. This is God. But yeah, it's shit like that. So I managed to put it all back together, put the piece in, and that story right there is the reason I don't throw like any old parts away. My desk is littered with some spare and busted up parts, like old charge ports I pulled out, put to the side. I might need them. I might need to try and solder one of these bits because I ran out of spares for something else, and etc. And it drives one of my coworkers nuts. She can't stand how messy and disorganized my whole thing is. But it's messy and disorganized because, honestly, it is messy. But I know where things are. I remember where I put that weird little part that was in there. Just a sec. And it's like, when I took apart the phone, that was this pile. When I took apart that phone, that was in that pile. Having them all in, like, one big, this is where the spare parts go. No. They're all separate. They're all unique. One of the, like, biggest pains, is when, like, they have different screw types. I think, like, Motorola and, Apple are a bit annoying at this, where like to take apart an iPhone, you need a star bit. It looks like a little star. Pentalobe is what they call it, 5-point. Take out those, and then you open it up, and then it has Phillips here, and then it has a 3-point screw there, and then these screws are larger than those screws, and that screw won't fit there, but they all serve the same purpose. It's annoying when, like, just use the same screw. Make it simple. But no, of course they don't do that. They don't listen to me. I doubt they even could if they wanted to. But yeah, it's all this little stuff that you notice and pick up and starts grating on you. And my paint is starting to fade out. I need to start working here. A bit faster, a bit more, a bit more. More. But yeah, it's just, I've got all sorts of stories, probably even more than I've forgotten more than I can tell you about. But yeah, it's kind of weird being a repairman. One of the neat things currently is that it seems to have died down a bit. And I'm not quite as needed as I was before. I think I managed to fix most of the problems in the area, because my repairs have dwindled to pretty much a standstill for the most part. Here, one of my most recent repairs is a mirror. This little cosmetic mirror. Flip a switch and it turns on a light, and it's one of those ones that, like, this side is flat, you flip it over and it's all like zoom function or something. And what happened was, it's a rechargeable one, and so they have a little charge port on the bottom, and they broke that off. Alright. I can work with that, I guess. I'll see what I can do. Oh yeah, look at that. That's just a simple little charge port. I can fix that. No problem. No problem. I end up pulling it apart, soldering on the piece, but in order to get to that point, I had to unsolder the switch in the frame, because it was made by a machine, and they do it step 1, step 2, step 3, and while they're being assembled. It's kind of hard to explain, but I could not get to the solder, the charge port, without taking that switch off. So I did that. Then when I put it back together, the switch didn't work. Looks like I used too much heat on the soldering iron, which caused the switch to melt. So now the charge port worked, but the switch didn't. So I had to order up another part of those and get that up and going again. And this is like a 50-cent part. I bought a pack of like 20 in case that happens again. Not specifically with the mirror, but with something else. But God, do I hate having to try and fix problems that I caused. Alright, looks like this is gonna be troublesome. My paint is drying out. And one of the other things I'm trying to work on as well is I don't need it to be exact. Because one of the things I started with on painting and artwork and such was I always kept trying to, especially with the Beatrice portraits, I tried to be as accurate and exact as I could. But this one, these last two, I've been trying to get close. And there was actually a video I watched the other day that helped that actually said it's impossible to get a 1-for-1, an exact thing. And when he said it, it kind of said, yeah, duh, there's no way I'm gonna get it exactly the same. But I kept trying anyways, which is where I kept having problems. So I'm gonna try and get it good enough, personally, and see how well that turns out. Alright, so you up here and around. And try different options and whatnot. It's I sound like a broken record somewhat. It's but it's I just can't quite explain the significance of that simple thought process, because it's something that honestly has held me down for years. And it's something so simple, so stupid, but makes a lot of sense. Don't try and get it exact. Try and get close, because there's another video I watched. It was, give me 2 seconds here. It's hard to keep track of all this hair. Hey, there's this video I watched about this like professional artist dude explaining I think it was like why you shouldn't blend your paints or something while you're painting, something like that. And he explained the Grand Masters, the famous paintings and whatnot from centuries ago. Shit, why is that? Why can't I see that? When you like are sitting here painting, you're expecting it to be all perfect and accurate. But actually, when you look at the old master paintings, they are kind of just blobs of paint. This isn't a face, it's kind of just a paint smear in that area that looks like it. I've always wondered, why can't they just get it exactly accurate? Why does it have to be like that? Well, part of it is because it's paint. It's not a line, there's this... yeah, shit. Got too much on it there. Give me a sec. Because that's how paint goes. It's the impression of a thing. Because yeah, they would he showed a few examples, and it's like, yeah, there's like not a hell of a lot there. Hey, this is sort of working. I think I need to refix that spot there. But yeah, it's weird just opening your mind up to these simple and kind of obvious concepts. But yeah, it's kind of a weird paradox. I'm trying to be accurate in the painting, but apparently the most accurate paintings type stuff weren't accurate, and it's kind of messes with you. One of the other things is the big paintings and whatnot. I have been to a museum a couple of times. My grandparents brought me along every so often. Egypt and painting and Norman Rockwell. things like that. And I think there was even a Monet bit in there at one point. The thing was, with a Monet painting, it's like they had this one thing where you're like up on a balcony, you can see this like one way over there. Oh, that looks pretty cool. And then you get up close, and it's just a bunch of dots. There's no actual structure there. It's just a bunch of stupid dots. But from far away, it looked like perfect, exact. It wasn't until you got up close that you realized it's not even close. But I think part of that is how the picture is designed to be viewed. Like those ones were designed to be from far away. These ones are designed to be a bit closer. So I don't think the dot system would work out all that well over here. But it's worth kind of keeping that in mind. Because I always tend to be focused. Okay, this line right here, I gotta get it just right. Okay, clear it up, and make sure that one itty bitty line, when I'm looking at it right here, is perfect. But then you take a step back and you don't even notice it. It's not even there. Which is, again, a weird kind of thing. And that is way too much. But it's one of these weird things, like it's I've talked about it before a bit, but in like the 3D design realm, I learned about this one from Shrek, bonus features and the like. But when they were designing like his house, his hut, cabin, whatever the hell it was, they had to put things on the shelves. They couldn't just have a shelf there or like nothing in the cabin, because it looked really, really bizarre. The human eye like immediately noticed his shelves are empty. He doesn't have a shelf. His house is empty. What the hell's going on? And you immediately notice that stuff. You've probably seen it in like those like really, really, really cheaply done 3D TV shows, mostly like cartoons or something, where everything is just barren. There's like nothing there, and you notice it. You pick it up immediately. But in the Shrek videos, they realized, well, we can't have it bare because they stick out, so we actually have to put shelves and furniture and all this stuff in there. But then when we did, nobody noticed. And it's this weird thing that if it's not there, the eye can pick it out immediately. But if it is there, oh, that's normal. It's supposed to be like that. And you just completely overlook it. And so they have to spend time and effort designing something that doesn't get seen. Well, it gets seen but doesn't get noticed. Which is kind of a weirdity. But when you talk about it, it's like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Because that's how a lot of it would go. Alright, and I am basically out of this color paint. Let's try and clean up these last few lines if I'm able to. And then mix some more. Alright. You guys. Okay. Curve up like that. Curve down, something like that. And I'm quite literally like trying to get any of the paint I can. Alright, but yeah. But yeah, it does make sense. You get these because if, for instance, I would take like this all off and it's just a straight up flat wall, it would look kind of odd. Like I don't quite live in there. And unless it was like understood why it was like that. But yeah, one of the other ones just like in like 3D is like where it becomes most apparent because you have to make everything. One of the things is like on the face. If it's completely perfectly smooth on the face, that looks weird. But then you start putting in like dimples and stretch marks and wrinkles and all that stuff, then it looks normal. And one of the best examples of that is like Thanos from the Avengers. He is a completely CGI face, but you expect it as normal. You don't really look at his face and scrutinize it, but there is so much effort and detail put into him that just is, oh, that's normal. That's what it's supposed to look like, even though the entire thing is fake. His entire face is fake. It was made by hand. But yeah, no, it's supposed to look like that. And I think part of that is one of the reasons why the graphical scene has started to like peter out. Well, how impressive graphics are. It's because we've shot into the realm of give me a sec. Into that realm of, oh yeah, no, it's supposed to look like that. And so you can't quite make it. You can make it more impressive, more numbers, more things, more stuff to pay attention to. But at the end of the day, it gets diminishing returns because, yeah, well now we were able to put like little specular highlights on the pores on his skin and like all this weird shit. It's like, okay, cool, but I can't see that, man. It's I don't know. It's not unmarveled. Yeah, I think that is the thing. And it's also why I think a lot of indie games and such are starting to take back up again, to go in a different direction. Because if you go into like the video gaming scene, one I'm more familiar with, it's the games with a style, a theme that stick out and are remembered. All right. Yeah, the paint is out. Needs more paint. And it's for instance, one of the games I'm most familiar with is Team Fortress 2. The game is kind of in a limbo right now, but it's still popular. People still play it, and people can still immediately recognize it. And even though the graphics really aren't all that much compared to today's games, it's still seen as fine and a good game, mostly. But you see all these games that tried for like super realism, especially early on, like for instance like the Call of Duty games or any of those like military based whatevers. And they have this weird, yeah, that looked realistic at the time, but now it looks kind of janky. While Team Fortress or how some of the Nintendo 64 games, even though the graphics aren't technologically superb, they are still graphically interesting, design-wise. And so you've got these games that last the test of time because they have a unique style, not because they are graphically phenomenal. Hell, I'd even be willing to bet that the Avengers Endgame kind of gets forgotten after a while. even though it's a monumental task of human endeavors, it is still just kind of a movie. It's like, oh, okay, cool. What? That reminds me. One of my favorite movies is The Truman Show, and I bet you've seen it, but just to, in case you haven't, it's about a guy whose entire life is filmed. And I need more white paint. A guy whose entire life is filmed without him knowing it. Like, his whole life is a hidden camera show. And not to prank him or anything like that, but kind of more of as an experiment to see what happens when you film an entire person's life. And it's shown as a TV show, and you can like buy the houses or the outfits or anything like that to help pay for it. They basically have this whole entire city devoted to this one man, and he's not in on it. Anyway, spoiler, in the show he ends up realizing this, picking up on it, and deciding to escape. And it's like the biggest phenomenal TV sensation at that moment. He's now escaping from the place, and you've got people cheering for him. You've got people hoping that he'll be okay. You've got people wondering what'll happen to him. All this stuff. And at the end of it, he actually does, and like takes his bow and leaves and walks out the door. A big old teary reveal and whatnot. Anyway, throughout the whole movie, they've got like these viewers who are sitting there watching the show. You've got these like old ladies who got like Truman pillows that they've sewn up, and they're worried about him. If you got this guy in the bathtub just watching him and like excitedly hoping that he'll make it, and like all these like silly little things. And one of them is like these two guards, security guards at like some station or whatever, and they're keeping tabs on him during their shift. But the thing that gets me the most is after he's done this monumental thing of realizing his life is a sham, denying the existence of his current, basically, God of sorts, and saying no to that, I'm going to go live my own life, walks out the door. These security guards, alright, cool. So what else is on? That one, those like 4 little words, so what else is on, sums up it entirely. His entire life, everything that mattered to that man, everything that he cared about, okay, whatever. And it's just, okay, move on, whatever. Let's see what else is on. And even as a kid, when I was watching that needs more brown. I saw that, and I recognized that, and it's, those little statements hit me so hard. It's like, yeah, people aren't gonna care about you anymore. Yeah, and so, which is honestly really fascinating when you think about it. It was honestly given there at the end of the show as a gag, and you get a laugh out of it, but at the same time, it's not a gag. That's what people would do. Hell, for instance, what was the current celebrity scandal or whatever that's going on right now? People magazines, who's cheating on who right now? And you've got all these people who are so like invested in all of this drama that's going on right now with whatever it happens to be. But as soon as the next drama comes up, so and so celebrity B is currently having an affair with a thing, they'll drop it and only focus on that new guy, that new person. And it's kind of creepy and fascinating. Yeah, I realized this during the Truman Show, and like that one little scene hit real hard for me. even though I may not have been able to explain precisely why. But yeah, it's weird. People will just follow along. And like all that stuff that you thought was like really important not too long ago, like hell, just this year alone, 2020, Australia would start 2019, 2020 crossover. Australia was on fire. People have forgotten about that. Kim Jong Un was starting a nuclear. Trump had a peace dealing with Kim Jong Un, or whoever the hell it is. And nobody's cared about that anymore. Currently, all they notice is the virus, and it's they worry about this is gonna be the end of the world. It's gonna be the end of the world. We're all gonna die and all this stuff. But then it goes on, and they forget about how freaked on they were. Yeah, I honestly don't think I have a number one. I just have a bank of favorites. That's how I deal with it. Because honestly, having a number one favorite, hell, this exact thing we're talking about applies to there as well. If I had a number one favorite, well, back up a bit. Colors. I used to have my favorite color used to be green. It's like, yeah, green. Green's my favorite color. But then I got tired of green. And it's like, I still like it, but now I prefer yellow and purple. And people change. Times change. Things happen and they don't. It's nothing is stagnant. If it is, that actually causes problems. Because the only thing constant is change. It may not be as beneficial as you want, but things will change. Personalities, tastes, designs, all sorts of stuff. But yeah, it's so. And I guess part of that is also why I have probably some personal trouble attaching to a lot of things, because I tend to shift around a fair bit more than I probably should. You know, my artistic endeavors are an exact example of that. Started with drawing, then sculpting, then sewing, then 3D modeling, then painting, and things just kind of work out like that. That's how they end up. And not yet, but I am looking into it this weekend. Yes, our internet has been. Yeah, our internet. It takes a while. Yeah, it can. Shifting can take a while, or it can be pretty sudden too. But no, I haven't been able to check out Dread yet. This weekend I was planning to. One of the issues is currently we had the fire that cut the internet line. We also have kids trying to connect to school. They can't do it through the normal lines, so they're having to default to phone lines. I believe our phone towers, which I'm running off of, are getting hammered out the wazoo because nobody can use the landlines, so everyone's switching to their phone lines. Everyone's on their phone lines, and the kids are going to school, and they can't use the internet lines, so they're also on the phone lines. And it's just crazy. Our internet is actually iffy. Like at these hours, I don't think anybody's awake, so they're pretty stable. But once you start getting into people start waking up to your at times, it like starts dropping. Like the internet's loading fine, and nothing. wait a couple minutes, it comes back and it's yeah. It's nothing horrible, and it'll pass, but it's just frustrating to have to deal with. But yeah, I'm gonna be looking into a Dread. That is something I actually do want to look into and see. It's on my to-do list right down there. Okay, where are you? Give me a sec. But yeah, this is internet problems. Yay. Oh, and well, I'll go on this topic because now I can. I still being like iffy on moving to Texas. It's just I'm probably gonna be this way all the way up to it. But one of my problems is I don't know if I'll like it there. I don't know all these unknowns. I'm gonna be moving. I still just have some iffy bits on what's gonna happen. But anyway, my dad found this video about Texas actually. Yeah, here we are. And it was a fascinating watch. He sent it to me specifically to see. But dogs in the apartment. Yeah, I know that pain. Not quite specifically the 1080p bit, but I have to share the internet here with the family, and it really sucks. Okay, guys, I need to try and watch these videos, but you can't just, because it's family, I can't just kick them off and hog all the internet. I would likely be a bit of an internet hog. I probably am. I technically am at the moment. I'm hogging up all the internet at this time frame. No one else is allowed to use it because I'm streaming. They can use it to like browse pages, but they can't download huge streams of music and such, because then the internet dies off. I can't get a stream going, yada yada. But yeah, it's one of the reasons I want my own place, so I can have my own internet. Hopefully, my plan is when I get there, wherever the hell it is I'm going, one of my necessities will be my own internet connection. Drilled through a wall or sticking out a window if I have to, but it's one that's mine and mine alone. I don't mind sharing, but from time to time, but I want it for me. I'm moving halfway across the country to a place I've never been, so might as well take what life has to give me. At that time, I can do all sorts of good. But at the same time, it's the internet is a weird thing, because it just happened the other day when the power went out. Give me 1 second. When the power went out, we had no power, we had no electricity, and we kind of realized we had nothing to do at that point. And so we ended up chatting and whatnot. But it's fascinating how our lives kind of revolve around electricity and the internet right now. If we want to play a video game, watch a movie, watch somebody streaming, we have to use the internet. And if that's down, we can't do any of that. And then with this whole pandemic, we can't go outside, so we're stuck inside not being able to do anything. It's weird. And the internet is wonderful and horrible at the same time. It allows us to do a lot of things, but it keeps us from doing a lot of other things as well. And it's a personal fear of mine that I'll move down there, I'll get everything set up, and then I'll just do exactly the same thing I'm doing here. It's not a fear. I know I'll be doing that a bit. I want to try and get out of that. One of the things I plan on doing is biking, walking, going out and exploring what's out there, going to different places and venues, and seeing what's up. Hopefully that way I can do more things, try out new options, etc., etc. But oh yeah, pandemics are not, ain't they? What? Yeah, this pandemic thing is a pain. It's causing so many issues and problems and all sorts of things. Yeah, it's on the other side. It's complete tangent. The masks in and of itself, I despise the masks for being forced upon us. But I do gotta say, a lot of the designs people have come up with for masks or odd little creative endeavors have been actually pretty cool, and I wouldn't mind them as like a fashion statement, but having them as a fun, ain't they? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, totally, absolutely fun. But yeah, as like a fashion statement, as like a skull bandana, or like weird, like replace your mouth with your own mouth, odd little neat things that people have come up with. Those are kind of cool, and I respect that part. But yeah, not as the symbol of control they have. The face hugger mask. There's this one dude. I saw a video somewhere. This guy designed a space mask. And basically, it's this big old bubble, and it's got filters and a fan that sucks in the air and then blows it back out. And so this big old kind of obnoxious design, but he's like, so you can see people's face, you can see their mouth. And I guess that works, but yeah, it was kind of cool. There's also this guy, I haven't seen the video, but it keeps popping up all the time. This guy who made a automatic retractable mask. It's like this little thing, and it zips up and zips away for whatever reason you need it to, which is kind of cool. Automated stuff is neat, but also annoying. I could see it being annoying anyway. But yeah, it's people have gotten pretty creative with some of this stuff. I can imagine a face hugger mask. It just, I've seen people in plague doctor outfits walking through Walmart buying limes. It's just, people are having to, even in the midst of a pandemic, people will be people. And they'll live their own lives and their own rules. But yeah. Back heck. it's like, speaking of stuff like that, I always find things like that interesting and fascinating, like alternate ways of doing a mundane task. And I have this. I have this thing that I do. Oh, Ben. And it's fascinating. I've seen some like people make custom controllers for their disabled kids to play games. And it's heartwarming and such. It's pretty cool. But then you also have these guys who have managed to do things on their own and use a standard device in ways it was never intended to. Like I've seen a video of a guy who's like a professional Street Fighter player, but he has no hands. And he uses a joystick controller with his face. I shit you not. He's sitting there kind of mashing his face, using his lips and his tongue to use up buttons and such. And it's a weird thing to watch, but it's damn impressive. But yeah, there's going back to an odd little tangent reminding me of I do this thing, luggage that follows them around. That could be cool. But I could also see a lot of people being lazy with that too. But there's this, I don't know when or why or how I started doing this, but every so often I'll see if I can do a task with just like one hand or without things. Like for instance, just not use my left hand and see how well I can do a task. And it's not like holding the hand back, it's like not actually using it at all. And it's a odd little, you should try it out sometime. So one thing that's interesting to try, pour yourself a glass of milk or make a sandwich with just one hand. And you learn to see how difficult a thing is when you do that. One of the other ones is like opening doors with my feet. I can do that actually. I can actually open doors with nothing but my foot. Weird some people out when I do it occasionally, but yeah, and when you have to do it without something else, like without an extra limb, you have to work a bit differently. Like for instance, I can't just hold my palette here and dip it here. I have to actually balance it on my leg in order to keep it steady. I can no longer support my hand to keep it steady with my other hand. I have to trust that I know what I'm doing. Type of thing. Give me a sec. Like a laptop 360 board. 360 board. I can move this. Cut. Yeah, there's a lot of actually erroneous components on a board, or a lot of spare space on there. But yeah, it's one of the things that, like, when you start doing this, and something I've noticed, personally, that's actually difficult getting that precise bit there, is you kind of forget about your limb. And I get to the point where it's like, I'm not trying to, and you got a reflex, and like, no, don't do that. It's, you forget that it's there, and it just becomes a bit of the scenery. And it's, I can't quite explain it. You gotta like do it on your own to get to that point. but like you get into a different state of thinking, a different state of mind, and you have to use other aspects of things, and you kind of see the world in a new light, see the how things turn out. And it's all this little stuff that you kind of like take for granted sometimes. Like, for instance, I eat a lot of sandwiches. That's probably like a main food group for me, actually. But I occasionally try and do it one-handed and see what it's like, just kind of sporadically get myself to do odd or silly things. And the thing I have the most trouble with, keeping the bread from moving when I put something on it, like spreading mayonnaise or peanut butter and jelly or whatever. Take a knife and like sit on the bread, and then the bread starts moving along, but you only got one hand, so you got to figure out a way to do it. And I have a lot of respect for the people who figure out how to do things like that, because they need to. They're missing limbs, or they have some disability or some such. They've got to figure out how to do it, otherwise they won't. Yeah. And I always tell this one a lot, but my neighbor, he was kind of like a really impressive version of this concept. He lost his hand twice, I shit you not, and ended up being a working in the lumber field. Or logging. Sorry, logging, rather. And he would run the heavy machinery, and he lost his hand, but he couldn't grab it because he had a hook, and he lost it at the wrist area. And he couldn't grab it with a hook, and he tried, but it would keep slipping off, and he wouldn't do it, and you can't really do that for big old heavy machinery holding tons of wood. So he eventually figured out that these were all ball levers. Like, you grab the ball, move it down, move it up, forward, back, lift up the blade, lower the blade, left and right type of thing. And so he got an ice cream scoop, strapped that to his hand, and now he could use it just normally. He didn't even have to really think about it. Just slip it on and go. And he was fascinating in just how many simple solutions he could come up with a problem. He's the guy who like, if a bolt is on tight and like not coming out, he's the guy who would work smarter, not harder. As smart as he could, anyway. He had some shortcomings in that regard, but like, if the bolt was coming loose, and he was also a shorter guy, he didn't have this physical strength that a lot of people could just force it through. So he would weld a bolt to the bolt, and then loosen up that bolt because the other one was stripped or threaded or whatever. Or if they still didn't work out, he'd sit there and melt them out. Get a blowtorch, melt the bolt until it came loose, and then you can just pop it off. Easy as pie. Much to the chagrin of like some of his bosses, who'd like get like pissed. I can't get this bolt out. It's not working. It's not coming. It's whatever. Can I try? Yeah, sure. Knock yourself out. Whatever. And it's like, okay. So he'd go up there, and in like 10-15 minutes he'd have it done. And it's like, how the hell did you do that? I just melt it, weld it on, get it out. There we go. All done. And it's just, he tells a lot of stories about things like that, where it's just a really stupid, simple solution that works pretty much flawlessly. Because that bolt is now bad, you're not going to be putting it in there anyway, so might as well just go the full route and just get it all out. And he would do that all the time. And I think part of it was because he wasn't quite as big as a lot of the other guys. He had to come up with ways to counteract that, to work with what he had. And so he was actually really good at that. And he's also the guy that, like, he hot rodded his car a bit when he was younger. Big old drag racers. And he says, take this engine, put it in here, get these parts over here. And so, he had this up. He was really a whiz at mechanical stuff, and so he ended up being able to like oh yeah, you can just kind of go like this, and get that up and running again, type of thing, and it's just fascinating. And doing things like that, it gets you just in the mindset of, what the hell is that? Oh, that's right there. Okay. All the way down. There we are. And it opens up your mind. That's like the only thing I can say, because I see a lot of times people. I think that's the biggest difference between book smarts and street smarts. Book smarts is a rigid way of thinking. You may know exactly all the functions and things and numbers and whatnot of like how all this stuff works, but you don't know how to do anything besides that. You don't know a way to fix something without having everything there. And honestly, this goes a bit into my personal philosophy in like D&D and the like. You have stats: strength, constitution, dexterity, intellect, wisdom, charisma. And one of the things for me personally, I have always enjoyed the concept of wisdom, because you may not know the answer. I see wisdom as you may not know the exact date that so and so was alive or any of that bullshit, but wisdom is a measure of how well you're able to know how to figure out the answer. You may not know it, but you know where to look for it. I don't know the answer to that, but I know that guy probably does. I don't know the answer, but it's probably in the library. I don't know, but I could probably look it up here. And I value that train of thought much more than any statistical knowledge. I know the fact that 365,265 times whatever equals whatever. Okay, cool. Neat, but that doesn't really help. That's just a thing. I see that actually a lot in some the education nowadays. It's all book smarts, where they try and teach you the one way of thinking, and if something doesn't match up to that one way of thinking, they get lost. And I pride myself, especially for the repair business, being able to come up with very unorthodox ways of fixing things, because I kind of have to. Give me a second here. We're working on there, and there. I'll go with that. Because I sometimes have to come up with the idea, okay, your speaker ain't working, but they don't make any repair parts for that. So what we can try and do is salvage one from this TV, see if we can jerry-rig it to fit for you there, and see if that'll work for you. Is that alright? Oh, yeah, sure, as long as you get it going, man. Alright, let's try that. And it kind of works, so. It's being able to work around limitation. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, electronics is... It used to be electronics were relatively basic. The word is basic. You have these parts and just get another one and you can do it this way. But now all the modern parts are like really hard. You can't do any of the basic electronics anymore. It doesn't work that way. But yeah, it's wise people are fascinating because you find ways to work around it. I see one example would be using end of the world scenario type stuff, like Fallout type things, post-apocalyptic, what have you. An example of a wise person would be a Junkrat. They don't quite know what this device is, but they know how to work with it. They know how to mess it around and get it to do something it wasn't supposed to, but it still gets whatever the main task is up and running. But yeah, it's really is cool being able to just mash things together. Unfortunately, a lot of businesses don't see the appeal of that, and they prefer you only get their specific whatevers. Because technically speaking, I could get a lot of things hooked up and working again, phone-wise, with a lot of judicious application of scrap wire, but and time if I had it, by like taking this video port and applying it to these ones here, and shit. Time to move my hand. And we're okay. Still usable. But yeah, it's like one of the other aspects is I could physically get a device working, and there's been a couple of times where I've had to because a lot of people get their phones broken and scrapped, and it's like, I've got pictures and photos and shit on here that I don't have anywhere else. I need you to get them back. Is there any way to transfer it? Yes. I could try and repair your phone. I don't have enough money for that. I need to get a new one up and running. Alright, let's see what we can do. And what we end up doing is, wait a sec. Give me 1 second here. Doing I always call it a jury rig, where we like have the phone in pieces. I'm more used to working it like that anyway. But like, you take the phone, and the screen is toast. The screen is beyond repair, so we got to replace it. But they don't have enough money to get a full replacement on the thing, so we get like a secondary one and like hook it in so that you can still touch it while it's hooked up to this board, and it's just like completely splayed out with a battery that's kind of hooked in there because we need power to it, and that part went bad. They if the phone doesn't have an SD card, or the biggest problem is you have all the data stored on the phone, and you need to get it off. In order to take that data from the phone, not on the SD card, stored on the phone itself, you have to say, select this, go here, transfer there. And SD card only works if you're able to select and move it to there. And if the screen is toast and you can't work with it, you can't access it. So yeah, I've ended up on a couple of occasions having to just get like a phone just like held in place. Okay, so touch here, do this. Okay, don't touch here. Get this, and it's just like mangled electronics just sitting there. It works, perfectly functions, but you're not going to be pulling that out of your pocket to make a phone call. It's no. But yeah, it's stuff like that. I always talk about being able to think outside of the box, because if you were to, in like those examples, if you were to go buy the book, you would have had to get a whole new screen, assemble it all the way perfectly, and then give it to them and have that work. But they weren't willing to do that, especially for like a phone like this. Or there's been a couple of times I don't have a workable part or a screen for somebody's phone to work right now. It's I can order one up, but it won't be here for a couple of days. But they need it. They need this phone working now. They've got business or family or emergencies or whatever. They need contact. They can't go without the phone. But I can't fix it, but it's not working. So what I do is I keep all those scrap screens that I take off of people, that some people only had like a minor fracture, a little nick here. Oh yeah, sure, I can give you one. And I keep those. They still function. Maybe not fully, maybe not perfectly, but I have actually given some people a temporary broken cracked screen. This is a cracked screen just to get you by. And here you go. Thanks, man, thanks. I'll bring it back as soon as it's good. And in a situation like that, they love that they have a functional phone. It ain't pretty, it ain't perfect, but it works. And so getting something up and running is more important than making it look all good and such. But yeah, it's stuff like that, being able to think around it. Yeah, one of my favorite stories is an early one. I replaced a ribbon cable on a flip phone. I had to do a little splice work, cut cable from this other unrelated phone, get that, and solder it together and get it to work right. yeah, it's yeah, because it's weird. A lot of the electronics are built to just look pretty, like an iPhone. If you just think of an iPhone, smartphone, you've got glass, frame, camera. That's pretty much all you see on a phone. But I can get one working if it's not in that shape, not in that state. I can get it to where it's okay, we gotta hold these in place and put this together, and your phone works, but I don't think you want to use it in this unfolded mess of a thing. But yeah, and it's fascinating, and that's again why I don't throw anything out, because you never know when you might need it. And I try and keep some working ones off to the side for those very reasons, where people need just a data transfer. They don't need a fully repaired phone. They just need to get the data off of it. The other one is one of the big parts of my job is, okay, I need this cord to go to this. I need this thingy to do this thing. Okay, let's see. I can get this cord, plug it into that cable, get this extension, plug it into the computer, download it there, transfer over to here, and you have to do these weird mental gymnastics. Okay, I think that'll get you what you want, right? Sure, let's go with that. Because yeah, it's what's really infuriating is, especially with audio cables are all exactly the same. They are all a bare wire with a direction to it. However, there's so many different RCA 3mm headphone, quarter inch cord, whatever. It's all the same, but they all have different endings. Well, cord plugs are probably a bit higher ohmage, but they're all the same. But they changed that last little ending to it so that you can't plug it in right. You have to use their cord, which is so stupid. I hate that. I hate any of the proprietary cords, especially phone. Camera cords are the worst. There's like the Canon and Nikon, I believe, are the ones that have, or used to have, like proprietary ones, and it's like kind of like a mini USB, but it's a square one, so it won't fit, so you got to get their specific one. And yeah, it's just so annoying. And technically it would work, but since they changed the shape of it, that's another one. Phone batteries, like landline phones, those portable ones you can give me a second. Those phones you like pick up, dial it, and then sit it back in the holster. Those ones are like rechargeable. You put it back in the holster. Those are all powered by AA and AAA batteries. But the thing is, they all have they're all pre-connected and attached to a little cable. And that cable has a square box, or a rounded corner box, or a box with two little tabs on it, or it's three holes instead of two holes. All this stupid stuff, it's the same thing. It's a battery, positive, negative. I could get it and make it work, but because they designed it in such a way, you have to use their version of it, otherwise it won't work. Or it will work, but you just can't make it work. It won't fit into the phone. It's just, companies design it that way, so you buy their things and it doesn't work out, you have to buy the new model. That's how everything functions nowadays. It's frustrating to work on it like that, but and hell, there's iPhones. iPhones are easy to work on, but I see that stupid shit all the time. The big one of the big ones is the earpieces. You pull up your phone head and you listen to the phone call coming in, and that's powered by an earpiece, big old little electromagnet, right? Basically, looks kind of like a little squat little box with little tabs on it and connectors. In and of itself, it's the same. It's literally just an electromagnet that goes up and down to make a sound. But Apple has designed them so that they're just a little the same thing, but they made it a little longer. Instead of having the 4 dots this way, they split it in the middle, so now it can't connect. If they didn't do all that stuff, I could use the same one for every single bit. But they keep changing it. They keep shifting the size. They keep changing the shape. So you can't use the old piece in the new piece. For no real reason. They can use the old one. I'm pretty sure they use the base version of it. They just change the shape so that you have to buy new shit. And it is what it is. But yeah, it's like. But yeah, if you didn't mind, like wires and like having a phone unfolded, I could like get things working together. Yeah, just solder this wire here, put it next to this one, get it all connected, and have like this weird stranded rat's nest of stuff working together, and I could get this old piece working with this new piece. It just doesn't fit inside the phone case. So yeah. And that's one of the big ones. I could get things working together, but it just wouldn't fit in the box it came in, so to speak. But yeah, it's it's not quite what I want it to do. There we go. Good enough. But yeah. 5.0 stereo speakers, yeah. Yeah, it's like shit like that. It's congratulations, and like yeah, that's like stuff I would do. Yeah, it's like well, I've had yeah yeah, I had a this lady come in with a PS4. She wanted it her son to fix for her son. Apparently the fan stopped working. Give me a sec. And she wanted me to fix it, so I swapped it out with a scrap one I had lying around because some guy didn't want to pick up the PS4 that I couldn't fix. Yeah, and swap that in there. And yeah, it's just one of the other things is a lot of the fans can get like very dirty and dusty, and you just get like so much gunk there they physically can't move and then shut down, which is what happened to this guy. I fixed it. And yeah, it's like there's a phrase, if it looks stupid but it works, it's not stupid. Because one of the things is looking at it from a human perspective and looking at it from a natural perspective. Let me explain in a sec. Why are you different? If you look at it like in the real as a human, but you didn't fix it. You've got this fan sitting there. It's not gonna work. I can't do that. It doesn't look right. It's not how I thought it was supposed to be. But if you look at it in the natural world, it physically works. You have a cooling fan on a hot device that you have now cooled the device off. There are no real... There's the rules of the universe, laws of gravity and shit like that. But other than that, there's no rules on how something should work. You've got, like, mushrooms that take control of ants and brain control them onto the top of a tree. That shouldn't work, but nature has found a way to make it happen. You've got electronics, and we get so caught up in our own locked way of thinking. You didn't fix it. It's supposed to be in a box. It's supposed to be working all as one thing. Well, it can, but it can also work like this too. This is a viable solution because it is functioning. It's working. May not be the best, but by the laws of nature, it functions, right? And so once we get out of our own rigid way of seeing how things work, like for instance, like just a random example, this painting, I'm currently using acrylic paints to paint this. I don't have to. I could use random like blood or like weird little other things, red powder, just dirt, whatever. I could get that to do the same thing and get the same similar results. And so it once we like break away from this is how it's supposed to be and turn it to this is how it could be, this is what it is possible to be, we open up our minds to all sorts of different things and such, and it's it really does open up your mind and let you see the world in a new light. And honestly, I think it does make you a bit happier too, because you can see it with like really angry people. Oh, you're supposed to do it this way, dumbass. Well, no, I can do it this way. It's working. No, you're doing it wrong. It works. I'm happy with it. How is that wrong? Because I said it's wrong. You're doing it the wrong way. It's like, because you know exactly like those people I'm talking about. They exist. They're all out there. But once you like let go of this is how it's supposed to be, and just like kind of move on, you end up being happier about it. It's like, oh cool, I got it working. And honestly, personally, I'm running into that myself with the art, because it's got to be this way. It's got to be this way. It's like shit. It's not that way, as opposed to, well, it could be this way too. That works as well. Let's go with that. Hello, stink bug and whatnot. And it's just being laid back. Don't take life so seriously. And things work out much easier for you. I think that'll do it for today. Maybe a couple of touch-up points, but I think that's about it for now. I only really managed to get the flat color on the hair here, but that's actually a significant section of it. It's working out. Oh yeah, I'll show you. Give you a little bit of a closer up. I keep checking back to the cameras, hoping they'll be on sale one day, but they're not, so whatever. I don't really wrap presents. I've done it, but I go, here you go, it's done, it works, it's wrapped, here you go. My family at one point got like lazy with I take note of like better ways to wrap things and stuff, but one of the ways you can wrap presents, really simply, you get aluminum foil. There you go, all wrapped, and it's unique and different and special, and whatnot. The perfect wrapping. Oh, cool. I do not have the perfect wrapping thing. One of the other aspects is, like, when you fold it around and like you fold those ends and tabs, mine always end up all weird smushed and stuff, and like you've got like the white sticking out, and so I just whatever tape it down and whatnot. But yeah, it's like you can, one of the other ways I found you can wrap, especially for like cylindrical objects like a water bottle, you take wrapping paper, roll, 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 twist, 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 and tape the ends together. Ta-da! It's all done. May look stupid, but it's wrapping paper. It'll work out. Yeah, I found stupid ways to wrap presents, and a lot of it tends to be just wrap, twist, like you do on a bag of bread, whatnot. And it's done. It's finished. And like I've got some family members who'll spend like hours wrapping everybody's presents, but I just, okay, I've got you, done, you, good enough, done. I just come back out in a couple of minutes. Okay, all done. Here you go. They may not look good, but I got the job done, and it looks okay. I stepped and torn anyway. And yeah, see, so, and it is cool seeing like really well done ones. In my family, we've even had cases where we've run out of wrapping paper, and so we've got like 3/4 of the box red, but then like one little strip on the back that's blue taped onto it, and stuff like that. But it's wrapping paper, so it's not an end of the world situation, but have fun with it. It's meant to be a cause of celebration and joy, not heartache and worry. Yeah, it's I would like knowing how to do better wrapping, but I never do it up until the point I never think of it before I have to. And so it's like, oh yeah, I gotta do presents. There you go. And I should look up this later. Oh yeah, I need to do presents. I should look up how to do that later. Repeat, add, whatever. But yeah, it is past 6, and I think they're starting to get up too. So the internet's gonna start going down in a bit. But anyway, it's been fun, man. Oh, the painting. Show you what I've done on the hair. It actually looks pretty good. One of the weird things about working on a painting on stream, I see it one way, and then I put it in the camera, and the camera picks up a lot of things I don't see. It's weird. So I bring it up to the camera and see, oh yeah, those parts right there just don't look quite right. Let me go fix that later. But anyway, I'll touch it up, see what I can do on this weekend. I'll look into Judge Dredd, see if I'm able to even get it anyway. Anyway, take care, man. Have a good one. Well, most of the details. I still need another layer to get the darkness on, the shaded aspects, like these really dark spots on the side, especially like right around the ear there. And then the highlights to make it brighter on the other side. But yeah, it's slow and steady progress. See you later, man. Have a good one. I think next is gonna be Sundays, the next one. See you later.